Hello everybody and welcome back to yet another video conversation with me and my mum. And this is the last one that we're recording for quite a while. So I hope you've enjoyed these videos with my mum up until now. I know mum has absolutely loved it, right?
I'm just nervous.
She's a natural, going out of her comfort zone. And this one, maybe it's easier, I'm not sure, because we're going to keep it relatively short and sweet, and I'm going to ask my mum a few questions about who she is, where she's from, her childhood, and so on. So yeah, I hope you're looking forward to it. And Mum, are you ready to get started?
I am.
Let's do it. Okay, first things first, this is the question that I ask people when I meet them for the first time in class, which is essentially, tell me about you. Who are you? Where are you from? And so on and so forth. So Mum, this is your opportunity. Could you introduce yourself?
Okay. So my name's Julie. I'm Lewis's mum. I have a daughter as well. I've been married nearly 40 years. I've lived quite a boring life, really. I'm just a normal person who has been roped into this. But yeah, I took early retirement last year to help look after my elderly mum. I've got a little grandson, so we do some fun things a couple of days a week, and then I'm shattered afterwards. I like eating out. I have lots of bunches of girlfriends from different things, like from work or from people I met when you and your sister were growing up. I even keep in touch with some people from school, so that is going way back.
That's you in a nutshell, essentially.
Yeah, that's me.
Let me just go over a couple of expressions, because you used a nice phrasal verb, which was rope someone into something. So my mum said, I do some of these videos because Lewis has roped me into it. That means I've persuaded her, I've convinced her to do it. So if you rope someone into doing something, you convince them to do it. And I just mentioned in a nutshell, which I'm sure you've heard me teaching before. It's a way of saying in a few words, in summary. So that's my mum in a nutshell. Now my mum has introduced herself in a nutshell, let's go back in time a little bit and take a trip down memory lane and talk about childhood, about your youth and growing up. So Mum, could you tell us a little bit about your childhood? So what was it like? Where did you grow up? What are the fond memories that you sometimes, think about nowadays?
Yeah, I had a lovely childhood. Obviously, I'm from Yorkshire, so I grew up out. My mum chose not to work, so there was my older sister and me and Dad, and they were the best parents we could have asked for. Nothing was too much trouble. We felt safe. I was close to my grandparents. One of them literally lived across the field. And then the other one used to come, she worked, and so she would come and she would take us and we'd all go for walks with a lot of the other neighbours' children. Everybody was very neighbourly then. And then they would stay for a Sunday lunch. I wasn't into dolls and things like that. I wasn't a girly girl.
You were a bit of a tomboy?
I was a tomboy because the grandparents who lived just sort of further down from us, they had quite a big house and it had like a wooded area, so I had like a swing. We would be up the trees. I always had grazes on my knees, and it was fantastic. And there was no social media, so there was no expectation. You weren't comparing yourself to other people. It was just, you would go out. I mean, Mum was very trusting. We would go out for hours and hours, no phones. We didn't actually get a home phone until I was in my teens. And I do even remember when we got a colour television, and that was a big thing, because obviously before that there was colour. I'm not that old, but it was more expensive to buy the colour television, so we had the black and white version. And that sounds really deprived, but it wasn't, because you knew no different. All your friends were the same. No, I've got obviously people sort of looking back, they might have rose-coloured glasses, which is where you sort of think everything was lovely. The sun shone every day, and all the memories are good memories. I'm sure there were bad ones too, but I don't remember anything bad actually happening. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting you mentioned social media, obviously recording this for YouTube, and the fact that you had a close relationship with the neighbours, everything was very safe. Like, it seems to me that maybe life was easier.
It was simpler, yes, and people talked. There was more conversations, more just face-to-face things. You know, there weren't people in bedrooms doing video games. You know, you were outside, you were playing out, or you would go and you'd knock on somebody's door and say, is so-and-so playing out today? You would go and call for somebody. It really makes me sound ancient now.
I mean, I did that as well. Like,
well, you did actually, yes.
I remember going around and knocking on my friends' doors and like, are you coming out? Yeah. Like, are you playing out? Yeah. Like, I'm just asking, is Jack in? Like, do you fancy coming out? Yeah. So, like, I was also in the era or period of time before social media, but social media started when I was a teenager. So I had maybe a more innocent childhood up until like I was 10 years old, and then everything changed and technology has revolutionized everything. But now I do wonder if it's harder nowadays to bring up children, or if children have a more protected lifestyle, and if it was actually better back 50 years ago. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I love my childhood, so obviously I'm going to go for that. I do think there's a lot of pluses. There's a lot of pluses to social media and to technology, and you need to keep going. You can't just stand still. Nothing stands still, or you'll just be left behind. But it was just nice, you know, that people did just, you used to go out, the neighbours would come across and you'd go out, and I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but it's just less frequent. And also people are busy, people work more, like I said, you know, Mum gave up work and she did some sewing just for other neighbours and made dresses and things like that. But now everything's expensive, and mortgages, and people do have to work, and you know, it's different. It's not better, it's not worse, it's different.
It's funny because this is reminding me right now of the last video that we've actually just recorded, and one of the expressions was to sit on the fence. So right now Mum's saying it's not better, it's not worse, you know, it's just different. Classic example of her sitting on the fence.
Oops.
But yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to hear about it, and I don't know whether it was better or not.
Oh, well, I'm not going to say that my childhood was better. I'm just or your childhood, but I do worry more for my grandson growing up, that there'll be so many outside influences. I probably worry more about that. But maybe that's just being a grandparent.
Being a worrier.
Comes with the territory. Yes.
Now we've covered childhood and what my mum's childhood was like, and had a little discussion and chat about what was better. Let's move on to working life, because for as long as I can remember, you've always worked in the same place, but obviously you guys don't now. So, Mum, tell us a little bit about your working life. What jobs have you had? Did you like them? Didn't you like them? Tell us a bit of everything.
That sounds really more interesting, but basically I took A-levels, English, French and German. It would have been useful to have taken Spanish because I'm having to learn it from scratch, but they were the options then, and I really enjoyed them, but I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life.
Sounds like me.
So I actually went to 2 interviews. One was for the tax office, and one was for British Telecom, the phone company, and I passed the interviews for both.
Okay.
And I was given the job at the tax office and put on a waiting list for BT. So I started off at the tax office, and it was quite dull. I'm not going to lie. So I kind of knew I wouldn't want to stay there. And then I went to British Telecom, the job came up, and I really enjoyed that. And I was in customer services, so that was sort of up my street because I like to try and help people if I can. So that was really good. I enjoyed it. I'm still in touch with some of the people that I worked with. And then I had your sister, so I went part-time. And then by the time I had you, it was just like, okay, I just need to have a break for a while.
You had too much on your plate, you know?
Well, and there wasn't that much childcare then either. And I just wanted selfishly to be with you, and I was just lucky that even though we had to be careful with money, you know, we didn't have a lot of money, that was my choice. It's just a personal thing, and it was just easy. But then obviously once you went to school, I looked around for a job. I got a little job locally, and I'd helped out volunteering. So when a job came up at your school, which you may have hated the fact that
like,
Mum worked in the office.
Embarrass me so much.
But no, I didn't. I didn't. So, but the choice was I wanted all the school holidays and I wanted to be nearby, so I would take them to school, I would work, I would finish at the same time as you, so it was perfect. And then as you got older, obviously you could go home on your own, you and your sister, so I worked longer, so eventually I was full-time. The only thing that I did say, yes, I stayed there 26 years, so I did like it. There were some really lovely people there, but you also get a lot of holidays when you work in a school. So it was really hard. And even when you were teens, you were like, Mum, honestly, we're old enough now, you can leave us at home. And I was like, yeah, but I like having 6 weeks off in the summer. So I never went anywhere else until I took early retirement to look after Grandma and my little grandson.
This is what I mean by, for me, always remembering that, like, Mum works at school, at reception, you know, it was really handy, it was really convenient, and I imagine for you, it was pretty good as well, because the timetable was pretty decent, lots of holidays, so it sounds good, but if you could have changed anything, if you could go back in time, would you continue working at the school? Would you go back and work at the tax office or BT or explore other careers? Like, what do you think about that?
I'm not sure really. I mean, to be fair, going back to the school, if you'd been a naughty child, it would have been really embarrassing. But luckily, you and your sister were really good and well behaved. I know, because if not, can you imagine? But I definitely wouldn't have gone back to a tax office. I think, I could have gone back to British Telecom and I would have been much better off financially. But I just chose not to do that because of my personal priorities was to sort of be closer by, because then I wouldn't have been able to take you to school or pick you up. I think the only thing is I do love children, and if anything, perhaps from being in the office side of it, I used to love it when because I used to help with admissions, and it was lovely showing people around, and you would go into nursery and the children would all like, oh, come and let me see, show me this and do this, and I used to love that. And I sometimes think maybe it would have been nice to actually work with the little ones as well, but who knows?
I mean, there's no point having regrets, and you make decisions along the way, and then you learn from whatever you do.
I have no regrets
at all?
No career regrets, no. Apart from the fact that, as I say, I would have been better off financially, but do you know what?
We could have been millionaires, but no.
Well, I always say time is more precious than money. You need money, you do need money, but there's that point where actually, do I need the bigger car or do I spend that bit of time with somebody?
I mean, if you're working constantly and you don't have any time, but you've got loads of money in the bank, then what's the point?
It's just
it's
a
useless.
number. Yeah, it's just a number.
It's all about striking that right balance, I think, between having enough time and enough money to have freedom. That's, in my opinion, the most important thing. But no, interesting.
Well, maybe do the lottery.
Exactly. Fingers crossed we win the lottery.
Yeah.
Now, let's continue with a topic which is related to love. You know, my dad's been mentioned a few times in these conversations. He is a man without an image or a face because nobody's ever seen my dad. Maybe I can rope him into recording a video in the future. Let's see. But I'm sure people are curious, or at least I'm curious to hear it again. how did you and Dad meet? Was it a lovely romantic story? Obviously there was no Tinder, so there was no swiping left or right. But yeah, tell everybody a little bit about that.
Well, it was the early 1980s. I had just left school at 18. I was in a pub. I was legally drinking, so it's okay.
Yeah. No rules were broken here.
I was with another girlfriend. We were chatting, and then we got chatting to your dad, Bruce, and he was with a friend, and we were chatting away. And I didn't actually know his name at the time, because I remember afterwards saying to my friend, "Oh, that guy, what's he like?" And she's like, "Bruce." I said, "Oh, that's an unusual name."
Bruce Willis.
Is he Australian? Is he Scottish? No, I didn't. It was nice, and I kept seeing him in the pub, and he was sort of chatting to me, and then I know as well. One of the things which slightly put me off.
Put you off, by the way, phrasal verb. If something puts you off about someone when speaking about like dating, it makes you think twice, and it's like, oh, maybe I don't want to move ahead with this. If I see someone who, for example, is always screaming and shouting, it would put me off. It would make me think, maybe I won't pursue this romantic relationship. But sorry, go on. What was it that put you off?
Well, it was a couple of things, because we talked about horoscopes, and he was 5 years older than me. So I knew he was old, and he was 23, and he sort of said, "Oh, what star sign are you?" So I said, "Oh, I'm Capricorn." So he said, "So am I." And I thought, "Oh, coincidence." So I said, "When is your birthday?" So I said January 11th, and Bruce said, "So is mine." And I thought, that is so not true. I just thought that must be so corny. It actually turned out it is true.
I have the same birthday.
Yes.
January the 11th. It's so easy for me to buy presents. Just
it is. Yes.
the same day.
Share. But then he sort of said, "Oh, well, let's meet up." So I said, "Okay." So then he asked for my phone number. Obviously it was a landline, because I didn't have a mobile. And I sort of thought, yeah, okay, let's do it. He seems nice. He might be kidding about the birthday, but hey, give him a chance. And it did look really, really nice. And then when he asked me for my phone number, he got out one of those cards that says his name and photographer, and it's like a business card, and I'm just thinking, no.
What's wrong with that?
Well, I don't know, I just didn't like it. So I gave him the wrong number on purpose. I know. I gave him the right number, but I just transfixed. I just turned around the digits so that instead of it saying...
So it was the wrong number.
It basically was the wrong number. Yeah, because I just wasn't sure, and I just thought, oh no, I need more time here. But then, yes, we did get together, and I did even tell him that I'd given him the wrong number later. And I did ask his mum, obviously, on one of our first dates when we actually introduced, family people. I was like asking his mum, and I said, "Oh, when's Bruce's birthday?" And she did say it's January 11th. So after that, it was all plain sailing.
Of course, yes. She corroborated the story. There was no lying going on here. And it was all plain sailing. A nice expression. If something is plain sailing, it means that it's smooth. There were no problems, there were no issues. It was all, full speed ahead.
And to be fair, Bruce did say he did know that when he got out the business card, he did see the expression on my face that was a bit like, oh. But I was 18, he was 23, I was just cautious.
I mean, personally, I don't see anything wrong with that. If you are a business person, you have business cards.
Maybe now.
It's the easiest way to give them a number. Like, here you go, perfect.
Yeah, but it didn't work for me.
No, it's interesting. And imagine if that was you and you're meeting someone and you're asking when they were born and their birthday, and they tell you the exact same month and the same day. Like, nah, come on.
It did seem suspicious.
You're having me on, right? You're pulling my leg, right? But, I mean, it was meant to be, I suppose.
The rest is history.
Fate. Destiny. On to the last question, the final question. And I did say at the beginning that this was going to be all about my mum, but I kind of lied. I kind of fibbed a little bit, because the last question is, Mum, what was I like as a baby and growing up? Because you always post when it's my birthday pictures of me when I was a little baby or a little toddler or a little kid. It's a bit of a tradition that we have. So I can think about what I was like, and now I think, oh, I'm going to be 33 this year. I'm getting old. And then when I think like, oh, when I was at school, it wasn't that long ago. When I was at uni, it wasn't that long ago. But it kind of was, which is a little bit, shocking for me. But I'm curious to hear a little bit more about what I was like as a baby and a child. So, what do you have to say?
You're perfect. No,
perfect.
No, actually,
that's it.
Yeah, done. Yeah, we won't go any further. No, actually, Lewis was a lovely, lovely baby. Yeah. No, I've been so lucky because your sister was great. Your sister's absolutely lovely as well, and she's turned into a great human being, which I think is always the main thing. It's be a good human before anything else. When people say, "Oh, my son's this," or "My daughter's this," and running all this money, I'm thinking, I just want them to be healthy, happy, and a good person. But going back to the subject, you were absolutely lovely. You were so easy. Your sister was easy, but she didn't sleep. So we kind of learned from that a bit. So we maybe left you to cry a little bit longer. And I know that sounds really cruel, but you didn't have a dummy, so there was lots and lots of cuddles, and that was just our preference, So you did sort of want to. As soon as you were crawling, you were happy as anything, because I think you just wanted to be independent and sort of on the move. Interestingly, after the usual sort of mama dada, Lewis loved his food, and the first word that was distinguishable was more.
Ma.
I just keep putting it in. So consequently, you were a bonny baby, shall I say, which means that he wasn't skinny. But then, of course,
once you started chubby, right?
No, as soon as you started crawling properly and running, then you're great. And then as you got older, you got into football. You had some really, really lovely friends, which always helps. That he went with a good crowd all the time, so that's nice. We did, as I said, the football, and then at secondary school, Lewis got a paper round to earn some extra money, which is where you go and deliver newspapers through people's letterboxes. Is that more of an English thing? I don't know. And obviously circulation's going down. Yeah. But basically, I used to do the paper round sometimes because Lewis would be picked for the team. So he would go off after school in the school minibus and play for the rugby team or the football team, and I was just like, okay, I'll do your paper round. So I used to go around where we live after I'd worked at school and push all these papers through. But do you know what? It was worth it because I didn't want you to miss out, and it was good that he was trying to earn. You've always tried to earn from an early age, and then of course you went off to university, got your degree. I used to go down to Liverpool and visit you, and as a poor student take you out to all you can eat, or just basically taking toiletries, and but no, you've always been
basically nice. What I'm getting from this is that you allowed me to cry a lot more than my older sister. Preferential treatment, I don't know, but obviously my first proper word was more. So imagine you've got a little baby and all he wants is to eat more and more. When I was a baby, I imagined that you were buzzing like, oh yes, he eats so well. It's so easy.
So easy.
But then maybe as I got older, you'd start to panic and think like, we need to buy enough food for 2 people. So it might have developed into more of an issue. But personally, I obviously think I had a great childhood. I've been blessed with my mum and dad as well. And it's very nice to be able to say that. And honestly, sometimes when I speak to my friends, they'll say when I was younger, I used to fight with my brother and sister. Me and Chloe never had that.
She looked after you so much.
She looked after me, or maybe she'd make me do some silly games and stuff like that.
Sometimes she would sort of dress you up when you were really little, and you just being you just used to go along with it. I have a picture, and I think he's got beads on, and Claire put him some nail varnish on, and it was just, and you just went with the flow. Yeah, it was. I was just really lucky that they didn't fight. They got on. Yeah.
And Mum mentioned that I was a bonny baby. You could also say a chubby baby with like big hamster cheeks, which is true if you see any old photos of mine when I was a little baby.
Into sports, so
I did get into sports, but I remember in primary school, maybe before I lost a little bit of weight, that I'd think like, oh, maybe I'm a bit chubby, you know, I need to cut down on what I eat. Obviously, I didn't think like this when I was at primary school, but Mum would use a nice adjective to describe me, and it was big boned. So this is a lovely, polite way of saying that I was a little bit chubby. I was a little bit fat. It's like, you're not fat, you're just big boned.
No, you were never fat. You were never fat, but you were tall. You're a September birthday, so you were one of the eldest in the class. So you were tall and you were broad-shouldered. So no, I'm not having that. No, you weren't fat.
And now there's one little thing I'd like to go over because it's relevant to the question. And I might have mentioned it in previous podcasts a long time ago, or maybe I've kind of touched on the topic. But when I was 17, I did have a kind of traumatic event, and it was that I crashed my mum's car.
Oh, no.
And this was when I was 17 because it was raining. Maybe I was going slightly too fast. Everything was okay. Nobody got injured, but I was scared. I was scared stiff, thinking that I could injure some of my friends because we had been camping. And I remember after looking at the car that it was going to be written off. It would have to be demolished, basically. I remember thinking like, what are Mum and Dad going to say? It's not even my car. It's my mum's car.
I don't care about a car.
What do you remember about that? Because it was a pretty scary big deal.
I remember it was really rainy, and we did sort of get the call, and I just thought, are they okay? I genuinely don't care about plastic, tin, metal. A car is replaceable. I was just, are you okay? Are your friends okay? And they were all fine. You were just going around a corner, and it'd been raining, and actually because the police went, because it was a bad accident, and everything was fine, you know, and they just said it's just inexperience. And I think they said that there was some oil on the road as well, because another car had crashed at the exact same point. Oh, that was awful. That actually was one of the worst days of my life, and not because of the car, because I don't care about the car. I did not care at all. I just wanted you home. Oh, you're making me feel emotional now. I just wanted you home safe. Yeah, and then we went out and we replaced the car. It's the car.
I ended up getting a new car without having to pay more. It was like, wow, how's this happened? I misbehaved, got a bit unlucky, and it worked out well for me.
You didn't have the experience when it started to skid, I think, and the conditions. Even the policeman, he said a lot of that was just down to inexperience and the oil on the road. But hey, you're okay. You've got to prioritise things in life, and cars are not a priority. Flesh and blood is.
Exactly.
This is way deeper than I was expecting.
I mean, it's interesting I had to bring it up because it is one of these moments that I'll think about, and it's related to the fact that, like, Mum and Dad never really told me off because I was a good kid. I didn't really misbehave, but they were very understanding as well. So even when I did make a bit of a mistake, or
it was an accident.
It was an accident, of course, but maybe it could have been avoided. And I remember they were just like, are you okay? That's all that matters. So that tells you everything you need to know.
All that matters.
Oh
no! Yes, that was way deeper.
So on that note, we're going to wrap it up. We're going to finish off and have a big hug. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you found it useful to see if you could understand everything we were saying. I tried to explain some of the advanced words and phrases and expressions throughout, but if anything was unclear, let me know in the comments. And this is the last video we're recording for a while, so if you have any specific questions that you'd like us to answer the next time we get together and maybe record another video, leave them in the comments and we can answer them the next time we record a video.
I just don't want to bore people too much.
I'm sure nobody's bored.
Who needed to know about me, honestly?
Many people. It's English listening practice.
That's
comprehensible
just
input.
Practice.
Absolutely. So thanks again for watching.
Yes, thank you.
Our pleasure. And see you next time. Bye. Bye.